Mohamed Salah is standing in front of a Sky Sports camera, 9 years at Liverpool Football Club behind him, a Premier League title sitting in his trophy cabinet, and he is not talking about goals. He is not talking about records. He is crying, not about his own departure, about someone else's. He looks directly into that camera and says the words that stopped every Liverpool supporter in their tracks today. He is the only person I cried when he left the club. I cried with his mum. That is where we are right now. That is the emotional state of the greatest player Liverpool Football Club has produced in the modern era. On the day he is preparing to walk out the same door. And while Salah is giving that interview, while those words are still echoing across social media and television screens, Arne Slot is sitting in a separate room, facing a separate set of cameras, delivering a message of his own. A message that is equally important and equally serious. His exact words are these: here, the transition has not been completed yet, not softened, not dressed up, not hidden behind football language. The transition has not been completed yet. So let us stop right there, because in the space of a single morning, the man who built Liverpool's modern culture is saying goodbye with tears in his eyes. And the man now responsible for replacing that culture is publicly admitting the job is far from done. This is not a quiet summer story. This is not a routine squad update. What is happening at Liverpool Football Club right now is a genuine structural, emotional, and tactical earthquake. And every single detail matters. So if you have never subscribed to this channel before, do it right now. Because this is the kind of moment where every piece of information counts. Hit that subscribe button, stay with me, and let us go through this story piece by piece, detail by detail, because the full picture is far bigger than any single headline is telling you today. Here is what is at stake right now for Liverpool Football Club. The greatest player in the club's modern era is leaving. A man who changed the culture of training, changed the standard of performance, and changed what it means to wear that red shirt is walking out the door. And the man who replaced Jurgen Klopp is himself sitting on only 12 months remaining on his own contract, with his future not yet secured. At the same time, at least 2 more senior players are expected to leave this summer. Transfers are being lined up, deals are being structured, and the identity of this football club is being rewritten in real time. If Liverpool get this summer wrong, the consequences are not just one bad season. The consequences are a cultural collapse, a standard collapse, and a performance collapse. Now, before we go deeper into all of that, if you are new to this channel, if you want analysis that goes beyond the surface, if you want someone to actually explain what these stories mean and not just repeat them, hit that subscribe button right now. It is free, it costs you nothing, and it means you will never miss a breakdown like this one again. Hit subscribe and let us get into the full picture. Salah cries for Trent, and what that tells us. Let us begin with the moment that stopped people in their tracks this morning. Mohamed Salah, speaking to Sky Sports, was asked about Trent Alexander-Arnold's departure from Liverpool, and his response was something nobody expected. His exact words were these: he is the only person I cried when he left the club. I cried with his mum. Now let us pause on that for a moment, because that sentence tells you everything about the emotional weight inside Liverpool's dressing room right now. Mohamed Salah has been at Liverpool for 9 years. He has seen players come and go. He has seen legends depart. He has seen entire squads rebuilt around him. And yet, out of every single departure in those 9 years, Trent Alexander-Arnold is the only one who made him cry. And not just cry privately, cry with Trent's own mother. Now think about what that means as an analyst. It means the relationship between Salah and Trent was not simply a professional football partnership. It was a genuine human bond, a deep friendship. And when you understand that, you begin to understand just how much disruption this summer represents for the emotional core of this football club. This is not just about contracts and transfer fees. This is about the human architecture of a winning team being dismantled piece by piece. And the man who has held that architecture together longer than anyone else is himself preparing to walk out the same door that Trent just walked through. That one sentence from Salah, those few words about crying with Trent's mum, tells you more about the state of Liverpool Football Club right now than any transfer rumour ever could. Salah on training culture. The legacy he is worried about leaving behind. Now let us talk about something that Salah said that I think has been seriously underreported in the football world today. Speaking again to Sky Sports, Salah reflected on the training culture he found when he first arrived at Liverpool. And what he said was remarkable. His words were these: when I came here first, I think nobody was working before training. Millie, Adam and Sadio were working after training. When I came, I wanted to work before training and after training. I want to work all the time. Then they also work before training. This is the thing that always makes me happy. He went on to say this. I want the guys to continue like that. This is one of the main concerns for me. I spoke to a member of staff and the guys up there. I told them when I leave, you need an example. You need people to come early and go to the gym. If this does not happen, it will be tricky for the club. Now, let us be very clear about what is happening here. Mohamed Salah is not just saying goodbye to Liverpool Football Club. He is issuing a warning. He is saying directly and honestly that the culture of dedication he built at this club, the habit of arriving first, working hardest, staying longest, is not guaranteed to survive without him. He built it, he maintained it, he led it every single day for 9 years, and he genuinely does not know who is going to carry that torch when he is gone. And as an analyst, I find that to be one of the most important and honest things any departing player has ever said about a club they are leaving. Because this is not about goals. It is not about assists. It is not about marketing or commercial value or social media followers. It is about the invisible standard, the daily discipline, the habit of excellence that does not show up in a match report, but shows up in every training session, week after week, month after month, year after year. Salah built that standard at Liverpool. He is worried it will disappear with him. And based on what we know, that concern is completely legitimate and completely supported by the facts. Salah explains his decision to leave, and the words he chose are very important. Now let us address the exit itself, because Salah has now spoken about why he is leaving, and the way he said it matters enormously. His words were these. I think personally, I am not going into details. I am not trying to play around. But last season, I was not ready to go because you break the records, you win the Premier League, it is not right. But now with everything going on in the season, I will not go into details. It is like, you know what? It is time. I want to go. Now, notice what he is doing there. He is drawing a very deliberate and specific contrast between last season and this season. Last season, when Liverpool were breaking records and winning the Premier League, he did not want to leave. He felt it was not the right moment. The club was flying. The energy was right. The results were right. And he wanted to be part of that. But this season, something changed. And he is very careful not to name what changed. He repeats twice, I am not going into details. He uses the phrase, everything going on in the season. He says there is a lot of things behind the scenes people do not know about. As an analyst, when a player of Salah's experience and intelligence chooses those specific words, you do not dismiss them. Those are deliberate choices. He is not ranting. He is not criticizing. He is being controlled and measured. But he is also being honest enough to confirm that something happened this season that pushed him from wanting to stay to being ready to go. It is now clear that the decision to leave Liverpool was not purely driven by money or ambition. There were internal factors, there were behind-the-scenes developments, and Salah felt enough peace with the situation to walk away without bitterness, but also without pretending everything was perfect. That is a very important distinction, and every Liverpool supporter deserves to understand it. Arne Slot confirms the transition is not finished. Now let us move to Arne Slot. Because what the Liverpool manager said recently adds a completely different layer to everything we have just discussed. Speaking publicly, Slot was direct. His words were these. Here, the transition has not been completed yet. By that, I mean this cycle, the players that won the Champions League and Premier League with Jurgen. This summer, as a minimum of 2 will leave. So you can say you are at the end of a transition. There is still a transition to be done. Now, let us unpack that carefully. Slot is confirming several things simultaneously. First, he is confirming that Liverpool are still in the middle of a generational rebuild. The cycle of players from the Klopp era is not yet fully replaced. Second, he is confirming that at minimum 2 more players will leave this summer. We already know Salah is one. Andy Robertson is mentioned elsewhere. The identity of the second is not fully confirmed. Third, and this is the most important point, Slot is framing this transition not as a crisis, but as an ongoing process. He is managing expectations publicly. He is essentially telling supporters and media and anyone who will listen, do not panic. This was always going to happen. We are dealing with it. The situation is that Arne Slot has inherited a club in the middle of a necessary rebuild and is trying to manage that rebuild while still competing at the highest level. That is an enormously difficult task, and it becomes even more complicated when you add what comes next. The Arne Slot contract situation, the story people are not talking enough about. Now, here is the story that has not received enough attention today, and I want to make sure we give it the seriousness it deserves. A report from the Daily Telegraph via a journalist named Dominic King states the following. With only 12 months remaining on his contract, Arne Slot would be within his rights if he considered his options after the final fixture against Brentford. But that is not his style. Liverpool, meanwhile, retain belief that he will get the team moving forward again. Let us be very clear about what this means. Arne Slot, the current Liverpool manager who just won the Premier League in his first season, is now entering the final 12 months of his contract. He has not yet signed an extension. And while the report suggests that walking away is not in his character, the fact that this information is being published at all is significant. As an analyst, when a club's manager is in the final year of his contract and no extension has been announced, that is a story. That is a real situation that needs to be resolved, especially when that manager is simultaneously being asked to oversee the most significant squad rebuild the club has undertaken in nearly a decade. The reality for the club is this. Liverpool need Arne Slot to be settled, focused and committed to the rebuild process. Having him on an expiring contract while navigating a major transition in playing staff is not an ideal situation. It introduces uncertainty at exactly the moment the club needs certainty. The report does say Liverpool believe in him and believe he will continue, but belief is not a signed contract. And until that contract situation is resolved, it remains an open question that sits quietly in the background of everything else happening at this club. The transfers. Who is coming in and who is going out? Now, let us talk about what the summer transfer window is actually expected to look like. Because there are some very specific details emerging, and it is important to separate confirmed reports from rumours. Starting with the rumours, a fan account posted a hypothetical summer window scenario. The proposed incoming transfers were Diomande for £85 million, Adam Wharton for £70 million, and Jeremy Jacquet for £60 million. The proposed outgoing transfers were Curtis Jones for £25 million, Joe Gomez for £20 million, Harvey Elliott for £15 million, and Federico Chiesa for £10 million. Now, it is vital to be clear. This is a hypothetical scenario posted by a fan account. It is not confirmed. It is not official. It is a proposal, and we should treat it as exactly that. A conversation starter, not a news item. However, some elements of this hypothetical window are supported by real reports, and that is where things get more interesting. The Diomande situation is the one with the most substance behind it. It is now clear that Liverpool are very serious about signing the young Ivorian forward from RB Leipzig. He is 19 years old. He has scored 12 goals and contributed 7 assists in the Bundesliga this season. He is right-footed and capable of playing on either flank. And crucially, according to one report, Harvey Elliott could head to RB Leipzig as part of a €100 million deal that would see Diomande join Liverpool. The report describes Elliott as a make-weight in the Diomande deal. The source of this report is journalist Dominic King of The Telegraph. Now, let's be honest about the status of this. It is a report. It is not a completed transfer. It is not even at the official negotiation stage as far as publicly confirmed information goes. But it is coming from a named journalist with a credible outlet. So we treat it as a serious rumour with credible sourcing, not a confirmed deal. What we can say with more confidence is the direction of travel. Liverpool want Diomande. Elliott's future at the club appears uncertain, and the idea of a combined deal involving both players has been floated by a credible football journalist. That is the level of confirmation we have right now. Arne Slot on replacing Salah, the profile he actually wants. Now, here is something that connects the transfer business directly to football strategy, and this is where the analysis gets genuinely interesting. Arne Slot, speaking to media, was asked about how Liverpool are approaching the task of replacing Mohamed Salah, and his answer was remarkably revealing. His words were these: getting the most from Isak is definitely part of thinking about the replacement. Because since I have been here, and it is the same at a lot of clubs, it is mainly a left footer on the right and a right footer on the left. I have seen Alex scoring also a lot from crosses which were played from the right-footed. He also said this: that is definitely part of how we are looking at things. But we try to sign the best possible available player who we can afford. And then he added something very important. Something else which also happens at certain clubs is that is the best player in the world in that position. Let us try and get him. That is not how we work. We try and sign the best possible player who is available for us. Now let us think carefully about what Slot is telling us here. First, he is confirming that the search for Salah's replacement is specifically connected to Alexander Isak. The new right winger must be someone who helps Isak perform at his best. That is the primary criterion, not just raw talent or price tag, but compatibility with the striker Liverpool paid a record fee to sign. Second, when he says it is mainly a left footer on the right and a right footer on the left, he is describing the modern tactical norm of inverted wingers. And he is implicitly saying he may want something slightly different. A right-footed player on the right who can deliver crosses into the box for Isak to attack, which, as noted earlier, fits the profile of Diomande perfectly. Third, when he explicitly says they do not operate by simply targeting the best player in the world, he is almost certainly addressing the Michael Olise situation. It is clear that Olise has been mentioned as a dream target, but is considered highly unlikely to be a realistic option. Slot is essentially closing that conversation publicly and redirecting attention toward what is actually achievable. The evidence suggests that Liverpool are being pragmatic, structured, and intelligent in how they are approaching this replacement. They have a clear tactical framework, they have a clear profile, and they are working within their actual financial and competitive reality rather than chasing names that belong in a fantasy. Liverpool eye, Jan-Paul van Hecke. The Dutch connection continues. Now let us turn to the defensive side of Liverpool's recruitment plans, because there is a significant development here as well. According to a report from a Liverpool-focused account with sources at Anfield and close to the player, Liverpool have joined the race for Brighton and Hove Albion defender Jan-Paul van Hecke. The report states that contact has taken place between the two parties. It also states that Arne Slot is a big admirer of van Hecke and wanted him when he was at Feyenoord. The account itself responded to this news with the phrase, Dutch football club in full force, which is a reference to the growing number of Dutch connections within Arne Slot's recruitment network. Now, this is a rumour. There is no completed deal. There is no confirmed fee. There is no agreed personal terms. What we have is reported contact, a named source close to the player, and a manager who is known to admire the player from his previous coaching work. As an analyst, the significance here is not necessarily about Van Hecke specifically. It is about the pattern of recruitment. Slot is clearly drawing on his Dutch footballing network to identify targets, players he knows personally, players he has worked with or against, players he understands deeply. That is an intelligent approach for a manager who needs to reshape a squad quickly and efficiently. If the Van Hecke rumour does develop into something more concrete, it would represent exactly the kind of targeted, knowledge-based signing that efficient clubs make. Not a headline name. Not a glamour signing. A specific player for a specific need, chosen by a manager who knows exactly what he wants. The Alex Ferguson quote, why it matters in this context. Now, I want to address something that has been circulating widely, and that adds an important historical layer to today's conversation. A post has been circulating which attributes a quote to Sir Alex Ferguson, describing Liverpool under Klopp as the best counter-attacking team of the last decade. The quote praises the speed, intensity, and precision of that Liverpool side. It specifically mentions Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane, and Roberto Firmino. It also mentions Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andy Robertson. The full sentiment of the attributed quote ends with this: that Liverpool side, one of the most dangerous counter-attacking teams we have seen in modern football. Now, as an analyst, I am not going to get lost in whether this quote is fully verified or not. What I will say is this: the quote is circulating in the context of Salah's departure, and that context is meaningful. Because what that quote is describing, that specific combination of Salah, Mane, Firmino, Trent, and Robertson, is now completely gone. Every single player mentioned in that description has either already left Liverpool or is in the process of doing so. Firmino, gone. Mane, gone. Trent, gone. Robertson, leaving. Salah, leaving. The team that earned that kind of praise from the most successful manager in British football history no longer exists. And the era it represented is formally, conclusively, and irreversibly over. That is not a pessimistic statement. It is a factual one. And understanding it fully is necessary before you can understand what Liverpool are now trying to build in its place. The full picture and what it means. So let us bring everything together. Because when you lay all of this out side by side, a very clear picture emerges. Mohamed Salah is leaving Liverpool this summer after 9 years. He is leaving not just as the club's greatest modern goal scorer, but as the architect of a training culture that he himself is not sure will survive without him. He is leaving with love for the club, but also with honest acknowledgement that something happened this season that made departure feel not just acceptable, but necessary. Trent Alexander-Arnold has already left. Andy Robertson is leaving. At least 2 more senior players will depart this summer, according to Arne Slot's own words. The generation of players who won the Champions League and the Premier League under Jurgen Klopp is being systematically replaced. Arne Slot is managing this transition actively. He has a clear vision for the kind of players he wants. He wants a right winger who can maximise Alexander Isak. He wants players he understands and trusts. He is drawing on his Dutch network to identify targets like Van Heck. He has moved quickly on the Diomande situation, which appears to be the most advanced incoming transfer of the summer. But Slot himself is on the final year of his contract, and that is a detail that cannot be brushed aside. Liverpool need to resolve that situation as quickly and as clearly as possible. The evidence suggests that the plan at Liverpool is coherent. It is structured. It is being managed by a manager who understands the challenge in front of him. But the scale of the task is enormous. Replacing Salah alone would be an almost impossible job. Replacing Salah while also replacing multiple other experienced players, while managing a manager's own contract situation, while trying to maintain a winning culture, is a challenge of truly historic proportions. Liverpool have done it before. They rebuilt from the Gerrard era. They rebuilt after Istanbul. They rebuilt under Klopp from a position that looked far more broken than this one does now. But this moment requires clarity of vision, quality of recruitment, and speed of execution. And right now, from everything we can see, the club appears to understand that. The situation is that Liverpool Football Club stand at the edge of a new era. The foundations of the last era are being removed one by one. And what gets built in their place will define this club for the next decade. That is the story. That is the full picture. And that is why everything happening right now, every quote, every rumour, every reported contact, every contract update matters more than it might appear on the surface. Thank you for watching Victor Liverpool Analyst. If this breakdown gave you something to think about, please subscribe to the channel right now. Leave a comment below telling me what you think Liverpool's biggest priority this summer should be. Should it be replacing Salah? Should it be securing Slot's contract? Or should it be addressing the cultural gap that Salah himself has warned about? Hit the like button, and I will see you in the next one. Because there is much more of this story still to come.